All right, good evening. Welcome back to the Smooth Drive, everyone. We are in the drive time discussion portion of our show. This is where you send in your messages to get engaged with us. We are streaming live on Facebook, www.facebook.com/smooth981fm. And also send us messages on 0809 444 0981. This evening, we have a very special guest in the studio with us. But we are going to be discussing colorism. In case you don't know what that is, we're talking about light skin, dark skin, yellow, black, that kind of, and how it affects, all of us, whether it's in your office place or whether it's affecting your self-esteem or even the advantages you get in life as you grow up. 0809 444 0981. All right, so Fala, do you want to go ahead and introduce our special guest?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a guest in the studio. Her name is Jola Ayeye, right?
Yes.
And so I'm meeting her like officially for the first time, but she's someone I have followed on social media for quite a bit.
Okay.
Because she, can be very vocal on certain issues relating to women and issues affecting women. And I thought about, this conversation today, and I felt like, okay, so who better, to talk about this than someone who has already, been talking about it in different spaces at different times based on different reasons. So there was a time that we used to really talk about colorism a lot on Nigerian social media, especially maybe when I remember the last time it was a big conversation was when this particular video went viral of a particular skincare place, or was it a spa?
And they had
that spa where people it looked like they were peeling off people's skin. I still don't know how that worked out, but then people started to really pay attention to issues of colorism, and it's easy to confuse racism and colorism, but let's be very clear. So
we're all black. It's amongst black people, girl.
It's among black people. Colorism is the discrimination based on skin color among fellow black people. So while there's something they call light skin privilege or pretty girl privilege or something like that. So that's why we're here on this, having this conversation now. Is it really a thing? Because I know that among African Americans, it's a big deal.
Oh, even Caribbean, it is a thing. But let's let the expert.
Yes, speak. Is it a thing among Nigerian?
Well, they pulled you in there as expert. Me, I'm just.
Is it a thing among Nigerian women, or maybe we're just trying to?
No. I think it's a big thing, and interestingly enough, it's not just among like Nigerian women or black people. It's a big conversation within black communities, but you find that within the Latina community,
exactly,
within the Asian community as well. Because the Asian market, I think I think China alone buys about 40% of the global market of lightning products.
I thought that was India as well.
Yeah, so the Pacific Asian communities are pretty. So it's not just a black.
It's not a black
thing. It's a global thing. The aspiration to fairness is a global thing. It's not just, but it's a very serious, constant discussion that we have within black community.
But at what point did we come to this? I don't know. At what point did this idea that light is beautiful, dark is not?
Isn't that like a colonial throwback? Isn't that the way that Europeans?
Is it colonial or pre-colonial?
I think it's a bit pedantic to kind of say it is colonial.
Okay, you don't think it exists?
I think it existed before prior to. Okay, I think that probably exacerbated it. So I can't remember who wrote it. There was somebody who did a paper or was studying it and said. So someone who was like, it's a colonial thing, was that after the colonial masters left, people were trying to aspire to, because light skin, fair skin, white skin represented a sort of power.
Exactly.
It also connotes your status in society, because you're not working outside. You probably have an office job. You're indoors, so your skin is fairer. You're more beautiful. I don't know if I'm completely sold on that idea. I don't.
Okay.
That's just like a thinking, like a personal thing. I'm not completely sold on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am, because I think that's when it would have been introduced, like the European standards of beauty. We're always it's a quest to represent the standard of beauty of those in power.
Mm-hmm.
When did the power become those who were white? You know what I'm saying? Before, we've not saying that as Africans we don't have a range of color, but I'm not sure if it was something that particularly was so divisive as it is right now. Same with the Caribbean and in America. You were talking about people inside, with the slaves, for example. You know, the house slaves. Those happen to be the ones that were usually fairer skinned. They were closer to the masters, so they would often.
A lot of them are
mixed race because they were closer in proximity.
They were assaulted by the masters, raped, and so the children became mixed race children.
But even then, they still had better opportunities than the ones who were in the fields because they were close to that.
There's like
proximity of power.
Very, very, very light-skinned Black people passing as white,
living their entire lives pretending to be white.
Because of the privileges they get.
Exactly.
Because
they would get
solely
to live
because
free.
So you'd be able to access a certain lifestyle. But if we're taking it to specifically the Nigerian or African context, I mean,
I was gonna give one more example of the Caribbean as well, because it's really heavy in the Caribbean communities as well. But they have more of an Asian, Indian influence. So the closer you are to looking like you've descended, like you're Indian mixed, it is, you know, the better things happen for you, allegedly. But that's what I think it's the proximity to power. My point is that it's the proximity to power. Everyone just wants to look like what is in power so that they feel like they have some of that power for themselves.
Or what has more social capital. So a few friends of mine and I were talking about how a thing that's really popping right now, actually, in terms of social standards of beauty, it's not necessarily white. It's looking kind of racially ambiguous. It's like, does she have some Latin?
Oh, really?
Family?
It's called exotic.
Exotic. When you look exotic, it's like maybe her grandma is Chinese.
How do you look exotic?
So you have what they call good hair. So you have straighter hair than curly, but it's not fully straight. So
3C,
and it's not kinky.
So it's like it's super malleable on its own, and then you have the big puffy lips, and then your skin is kind of olive. Your nose is like aquiline, so it's straight, not too but it's not so straight that it's not Kardashian. You have high cheekbones. You have these like not eyes that are not too deep set.
Yeah, you have eyes that tilt up.
So you have these looks that are they're kind of like, so what are you? And it can't be just black. So you'd be like, my grandma is from here and my uncle's from here.
But can I just say that these filters that we have on our phones don't help either, because they literally, have you seen the filters on, that is literally, if you want to get if you're filtering one of your apps, that's literally what they do. They make your nose slimmer.
It's getting harder for me. It started getting really hard for me not to use.
But that's what they do. They enforce the Eurocentric ideals of beauty and add it into the app, and then erase all of your African. They superimpose the European features, and then that's what you have. So,
are you convinced that, particularly within the Nigerian cultural context, our understanding of beauty, specifically for women? Because I don't see a lot of men, using.
They don't even care.
Also, some of them do.
Okay, let me tell you. I am from Kwara State, and while I was growing up, I grew up in Ilorin, and it's interesting to note that when you go to the market and you see the traders, the majority of the people who use skin lightening products are the men.
Whoa,
really?
Whoa, get out of here.
Alarm men are good at it. Go to the market, the meat sellers. I mean,
this is very interesting. Yeah, both of us are like, what?
They yellow up.
I mean, I was trying to do research, but you know what kind of light
with
on data in
local
Nigeria.
black eyeliners and stuff.
Cool.
You know the one they call Tiro.
Yes, Tiro.
Yes. I mean, they put it from they put it on babies.
Yeah.
So they just grow
and
up.
that's a discussion to have. I mean, people are putting bleaching creams
on their kids.
And you know, a lot of them include steroids. So you have babies going into the hospital with all these skin conditions and stuff like that.
I know. I worked with someone who started, toning her baby's skin.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and when I tried to talk to her about it, she was like, "Oh, I just want to bring out her real color." I'm like,
okay. We have to take a break then. Sorry to interrupt. We have to take a really quick break. Very great discussion we're having here. Don't forget, you can be a part of it as well. 0809 444 0981. That's where you send your messages to. We're talking colorism. We've got Jala in the studio with Fala and myself. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. 98.1 Drive Time Discussions. We've got Fala, Hawa, and Jola. Ooh, we all rhyme. Look at that, ladies.
I know. Fala and Jola.
And we're talking colorism this evening. That's color discrimination based on skin color. You want to get in on the conversation, please feel free to.
Send us a WhatsApp message 0809 444 0981. You can tweet at smooth981fm. Hashtag is Drive Time Discussions. And you can also maybe drop a comment on Facebook. And but it's easier for you to tweet at us and send us WhatsApp messages. You know, in Nigeria, people are sometimes
wait, before you even get to that, you were telling us about these bleaching men in
Oh
Kwara.
yes, I was saying that, you know, growing up in Ilorin, I saw more men in local communities and the markets, you know, bleach their skins, because to them it's really it's a status thing. It's prestige. So when you start having money, you start to buy products. So when it's also associated with poverty. To be dark, you know, to be dark skinned, they look at you like, oh, it's because you don't have money to freshen up. So they see really dark skin as not fresh. Case in point, when I came back from uni, and you know, I was coming to live in the Southwest properly, like for the very first time. And I think I got to Ibadan, and you know, we're in camp. Of course, you're mixed. You see a lot of people from different places and all of that. And of course, everybody was getting, you know, dates and stuff. So I heard a rumor that, you know, there were some whispers about me because I happen to be like really dark skinned, and then coming from. Now I think my skin is kind of acclimatized to, but you know, coming back from Maiduguri with the weather and everything we have over there, I was really dark. And so apparently some group of boys, southwestern boys, said, oh, you know, she has a dirty skin. Yoruba girls are dirty.
Hi.
They said Yoruba girls are dirty because
that's
they are
another
black.
thing they have a low-key, but that's not a discussion.
And they go like, you know, black, especially the black ones. That was what I heard, that, oh, you know, black Yoruba girls are dirty. It was the yellow ones that
are clean.
That are clean. Wow. They call them creamy chicks. That was what they were calling them in camp. They were clean and creamy.
In a lot of Yoruba songs, like in like a lot of streets, like no, there's another thing. My Yoruba is horrible. Something or something like that. It's basically there's a lot of Yoruba songs from way back when, always glorifying the light-skinned woman. The yellow color is the color that is beautiful, you know, and so this is why we're having this conversation, that colorism has always been an issue in Nigeria.
Can we talk about the colorism and how it affects career opportunities? Yes. Maybe especially in the media. In the media. Clearly, I grew up in the U.S. I was called Africa Black because no one was as dark as me. Literally, like I was the darkest person.
Black and then there's Africa Black.
Yes, everyone.
Girl, when you see what they're talking, you think so. I remember the first time someone was telling a story on Twitter about how she was so shocked how somebody referred to her as, because in Lagos and Port Harcourt, where she shuttles between, she's considered light skin. And then she got to university in America, and people were trying to describe her and said, you know, the super dark skin chick. And so she was like, I'm dark skin. And then she now understood that, okay, light skin, the red bone, it means something completely different.
In the state that I grew up in, all the black people, I think they were all mixed from generations back. So literally everyone was 2 shades lighter than you, all the black people in the town. So I now come, you know, even their uncles, their grandmothers, like for generations. So they now see this. In school in Nigeria, I didn't even know what color I was. I just knew I wasn't yellow. I knew that much. But I was Africa Black, you know. And I had teachers try to say things like, you know, you're such a pretty girl, but I don't think that this would be good for you. You know, like try and steer you in another direction, thinking that, okay, this is such a sweet girl. This is, if you want to go in the media, you're a little, you know, you might be a little bit too dark from what, you know, in the nicest way, but not being very old or mature to grasp it. It didn't kick in till later. Even here, they say things like, you know, light-skinned girls get the TV jobs better.
I was going to say I'm a writer as well, and
they're always
read
looking
a bunch
for
of scripts, and you'll see like the descriptions for especially the role. So you see like the middle or upper class
is yellow
character. They will say like, you know,
Light
a
skin.
slim, fair-skinned girl with XYZ, and then when they are casting for, you know, kind of like
When they're casting
her
the
mean
house
Raz
guy.
or her popping Raz
Mean.
loud best friend, or
It's always
you know, one of her aunties that's maybe kind of aggressive. You
Yeah.
kind of see that they would say an auntie that's maybe slightly darker than her, or she doesn't have. You just hear things like she doesn't have the look. She doesn't. That's not. She doesn't have. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah,
it.
they
I
do
get
it
it,
for
I get
music
it.
videos and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
so we know it exists. How do we begin to counter this? Is
Yeah.
that something that's even doable, especially within our generation? We are all aware. We've all been affected by it. What kind of things can we do to readdress this situation? To repaint the stereotype
Yeah.
of this dark
And
woman?
change the narrative.
Change the
really.
narrative. There we go. Is it even possible, or should we just?
Of course it is. I mean, if you think of what happened with natural hair.
Yeah.
To me, that's
So how can we natural hair?
That is something that to
This
me is
journey.
incredible. I mean, when I was going off to university in 2010, one of the things was just basically you just know you're braiding your hair or you're getting a weave in, and then you have to start looking for who's going to do your hair. It was a very long process. Because even understanding how to take care of what was coming out of your head, relaxed or not, was just long. And over time, in the last decade, particularly in the last 5 or 6 years, natural hair care, black hair care has really exploded, and it's really changed the way people consider what is beautiful hair. There's still like a stretch of rough. There's still references to it being rough or managed. There's still too much manipulation of coarser textures of black hair, but the change in what we consider beautiful hair, acceptable hair, has really changed, and that's
so
the only way.
So
I
do you
think that
it's-
what
it's-
changed is, you know, they started by changing people's minds
Right.
about, you know, themselves and their hair.
Really? I don't
Yeah.
think it was that deep with the
No,
hair.
no,
I
no.
don't
It
remember that
was
too.
deep.
Yeah.
It was deep because I remember that at some point, if your hair was natural, that means you didn't texturize it or you didn't straighten it out with a chemical. They used to call you SU.
No, I know
They'll
that
say
was deep.
you know, you're SU, you're a religious nut, and then you're maybe not what's it called now? What's the word? Not sophisticated enough.
Uncouth.
You're
So
not
yeah, you're not
That's how
exposed.
Nigerians
And
say
then the
you're not
first sign of your exposure as a young girl growing up
Is to have relaxer.
Go relax your hair.
So, do you think that them pulling bleaching products off of the shelves and putting
not going to
taxes,
work.
They will
what
still
else
look for
needs
how
to
to
be
bleach.
done?
It's the understanding.
demon-
It's like
Self-love.
sort of like a media-based attack on what is considered beautiful.
So
But there's
we
also
gotta
a way
get
we
the slave
talk about
queens to be darker.
not that, but there's a way we talk about dark skin, even when we're trying to talk about it being beautiful. And it's a friend of mine who's dark skinned that mentioned it to me. And initially I was like, isn't she being a bit harsh?
Sensitive.
And she was like, you know, when they want to show how beautiful dark skin is, especially in media, they'll oil the skin so
Yeah.
it's super shiny.
Yeah.
And you know, they place it, everything's like melanin. Yum. And she's like, girl,
It's so
relax. Do you
exaggerated.
understand what I mean? It's really, really exaggerated. Like, first of all, let's relax and just show like a range of skin tones being beautiful and not in a highly edited.
Yes,
in a
we don't
super
have to
edited,
gloss it.
super oiled, super gloss, very intense stare, very sexy oiled bodies, half naked bodies. You're still fetishizing and making it super sexual.
Yeah.
There's really no need for that. I think what we need to do is put because it's not just a social thing. There are real serious health concerns that come with bleaching your skin. And it's one of those things that people don't tend to stop, because once you stop,
Then your skin turns weird, doesn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got in some messages here. James sent in this one, said, if they're, just joking. Stephanie said, hi girls, it's Stephanie here. Let's promote Ori and coconut oil for us black girls. But the wahala is they'll say Ori makes one black. This one is hard. Anyway, I love my skin shot. Well, thanks, Stephanie. I'm guessing you're
I think it's even
brown
a misconception.
skin,
I've seen people who, you know, I recommended, they have like some kind of skin problem, and I'm like, okay, have you tried shea butter? And then because a lot of dark-skinned people use shea butter and coconut oil, some light-skinned women have started this whole campaign of, Ori makes you dark. And they say it with such disdain, like,
makes you dark.
No, but even that, just getting to that, I used to like get very anxious about being in the sun.
Yeah, the sun makes you dark
for a longer period of time, and it was just like, I don't want to get dark. I don't want to get dark.
But you know, there's SPF, there's sunblock.
Yes, no. But even with sunblock protects your skin.
Yes.
But if you still stay, if you're an outdoors person, you don't want to, and a lot of people don't think about where does that come from?
That's not coming from a
why are
healthy
you
place.
so anxious about your skin being a shade or two darker than it currently is? Why is that something that really, like, you see? Even, I remember during NYSC, there was a baby, because we were, all of us slept in the same, it was a mess. Anyway, there was a baby close to my bunk who had a whole master plan about how she wasn't going to do parade.
Because she didn't want to
she was like, look, nobody's standing in the sun with anybody. I'm not doing that with anybody. She was ready. She had a plan. She had plan A. Maybe it's fainting. Maybe she was ready to make sure that she didn't have to stand in the sun for too long. And all she was going on and about was like, no, my skin, no, I can't turn black. And it's a
she probably was bleaching already, huh?
No. She just wanted to maintain her color. That was a priority to her. And it's not uncommon. A lot of people also don't verbalize or talk about it as often because there's a lot of stigma attached with admitting to using bleaching cream. So everybody wants to get to the desired end product,
color,
which
doesn't want to talk
but
about
nobody actually wants to talk about what they are using. People use injections now. Apparently that's a thing. Yeah, they use injections and stuff like that. But it's really important to. Some people will say, "Oh, I'm not bleaching. I don't care." But we live in a very hot country.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you see how people react to being in the sun for longer than 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and it's not a matter of comfort. Very often you hear a lot of women talking about, I don't want to get darker. I don't want to be darker than this. You find women arguing about what their foundation shade is. You know?
Well, yeah, I guess if you buy a lot of makeup.
If you go back to buy another bottle and they're like, oh, auntie, this one is too light for you. You see women adamantly saying no, this is my color. And it's almost,
that's
what I mean.
That's exactly why I said, okay, do we need to go on the break?
We gotta go on another break. Time flies when we're having great discussion, but we will
finish my sentence when I come back. When we come back,
we will pick right back up with Falaa right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
All right, we're still here on Drive Time Discussions.
Oh, yes.
And like we said just before we went on break, you can always send us messages, 0809 444 0981. We've been talking colorism, and Jola Ayeye has been giving us some interesting insight on how this thing works in Nigeria. For those of you who are just joining us and wondering what we're talking about, this discrimination against dark-skinned people, especially women in Nigeria. We've talked about how it affects the work environment,
job opportunities,
especially in the media.
relationship or social, what do you call it now? Social interactions and everything. And I think we left off with how do we change perception?
Yes.
How do we change? Where do we start from? And I was going to say that it still boils down to deliberately putting the information out where people's minds can be affected or where people's minds can change. You've mentioned the media, from advertising.
Not from a health angle too. You know that thing doesn't scare people.
They're not worried though. They're not worried. No. They're not worried. Because they've heard it over and over.
Like you die eventually.
They've heard it over and over again.
At least let me die beautiful.
Subconscious messaging. So when you watch music videos,
movies.
and the lead vixen is dark skinned and she's not big. There was.
Can I just say that's why I liked Pharrell back in the 90s, because he always had that dark skin video
model.
Vixen in the
90s, early 2000s.
In the early 2000s.
I wasn't even going to say that
because that was the time when I was in high school too, and when I told you all these guys were saying that we were ugly, and I'm like, wait,
I remember his love interest in fronting.
That was never that girl. I was obsessed with her because she was the darkest of all the video vixens, and he always picked her, and it's like, okay, fine. Representation is in the media.
I was going to say
TV.
that there was a time in Nigerian music history, I think in the 2000s and later on, when every music video had a mixed race babe as the lead. Every music video.
And she was always doing Shakara.
Maybe those were also the ones that could do videos.
No, I don't know. But and then we've seen foul. Media is far. I hope I don't get in trouble.
Magazine?
Banks.
There's a particular bank that once you get into their banking hall, the entire floor, entire floor,
and it's not just banks. I mean, you go to
light-skinned women
offices, and you just notice the type of women that are front desk.
Yeah,
it's something you take. If you notice, you see front desk. If you notice, there's a look that a lot of people tend to prefer for
front desk
customer facing roles, customer service, and things like that. And I've noticed it's quite common in financial institutions where there's an emphasis on you just looking at you're like, bright looking girls here, you know.
It's a patriarchal society, and these are the offshoots of it, you know. We're still very much pandering to the male gaze and what they want to see and what is acceptable for them. How do we change it so that we have our own female standards of beauty injected into some of these places where we do have control in the office building?
I think the places where women are in control, women should start to make these decisions consciously. So if you have that's why we need more female MDs, we need more female CEOs, we need more female decision makers,
funders,
directors, funders, and everything, so they can really start to set things.
We need a lot more women in advertising making decisions. It's something I've noticed. So what happens is you have I was having this massive debate with someone talking about how, you know, a lot of women work in certain environments or certain industries, but when it comes down to the final product, you can't tell that there's really a woman's voice in there. Yes, because women will work on the project, but we haven't figured out how to push women to be decision makers. So, you know, if I write a script and the person or group of people, there are 8 men who are come together in a PE firm to fund the movie, and they want to see the script, and they say, I really like it, but can we change? I'd like us to change this slightly. This is something that I'm, you know, it's little things like that, is putting women in roles that directly affect how you see. I mean, this is everything from car adverts. The mom in the you see the mom in a show is light skinned, and then the daughter is dark skinned, and then when she grows up,
she's now yellow again.
And it's like,
did you not find any light skin?
I mean, if it was for continuity purposes and we saw, you know, bleaching cream on the table, you'd be like, oh, okay, makes sense. But no, it's like we constantly, to show that she has grown up into this beautiful, smart girl, she's light skinned. And so we need to figure out how women can be involved in those.
All right. So we got a couple messages here. You can send yours in to 0809 444 0981. Mosu Paul says, I really can't fathom out what people benefit from toning their skin color.
As you tell.
From dark to skin.
You know why.
Especially since you're a man.
You know why.
Mosu Paul. Should I?
From Sierra
Sometimes the outcome of their action makes the skin more irritating. You are the one that is irritating.
Exactly.
No, you can't say that. Sukami says, hey Smooth FM, the first step in addressing the issues around colorism is to teach people to be secure in their skin. Insecurity is the foundation of every ridiculous thing people do to lighten their skin. Very true.
See, on this, just before you take that one more message, on this insecurity issue, I still take it down to, you know, you said pandering to the male gaze. It's unfortunate, but a lot of our women are caught up in this web. So everybody wants to
look good for the men.
Yeah, they want to look good for the men. They want to be attractive. They want to be talked about. They want to be noticed. And when you continuously have men who say that light-skinned women are finer, they are fresh, they are creamy, dark skin is dirty. Once they keep pushing that narrative, the women will keep twisting and turning themselves into whatever just to fit into, you know, their own ideas. So when I get personally irritated, slightly irritated, when men say, oh, I don't even know why these women bleach. You know why they bleach. You are the one who would consistently address lighter women, respect them better, treat them better,
even the comments,
hire them faster
around the around skin tone. The way they compliment a lighter skinned woman compared to a dark skinned woman, and it's disingenuous to pretend that people don't want to be considered beautiful. Everybody, you know, I mean, there's always a portrayal to try and act like, oh, you know, there's a certain type of woman that doesn't care, she's a cool girl, you know, all that kind of rubbish. No, it's not true. People, you don't want to be, and it's easy for people to say when you're not on the receiving end of that rubbish. People do want to be considered beautiful. You don't want to be the one in a group of friends when you're going, in your mind you're already like, we have to go. Like I'm not in the mood to not be seen.
Because you're the one who would get left out.
Yeah, of
Most
conversations or of decisions and stuff like that. I mean,
sometimes you have to find
a
your
good
niche.
example of what happened in the media is, remember when just after 12 Years a Slave, and Lupita was like Hollywood's hot young thing, and she was on all these magazine covers, and there was you could tell that from her marketing team, there was a very concerted effort into making her look not just her best self, but her self, you know, and that meant a lot. You know, you don't know what it does seeing someone having makeup companies, you know, use someone as dark skinned as Lupita,
hair companies with your
so hair. I think we really do underestimate
representation in
I mean,
the
do
media.
you know what? I don't know if I can do this, but there's a popular comedy series years ago, and the main character had 3 wives, and the wife that was almost like the troublesome but fresh one was lighter skinned. Darker skinned wife was the old ras one, and it's little things like that. So you don't have to say, sometimes you don't have to say this is ugly, but what you constantly use that to portray is what matters. So if you're constantly showing, I noticed that with a lot of African American movies, where there's not even American movies, a lot of times when there's been a big backlash about coming from the hood or coming from a poor background, you all of a sudden see episodes in series or movies coming out about how a kid from a disadvantaged background can be a genius, or they're this incredible sports star, or this incredible music talents, because you don't want people growing up in that background to kind of have in their minds that this is okay. So
this is all that they are.
And you have to do that with people. If you want people to have an idea, media is mass propaganda.
Representation is so important. So important.
I think that's the best way to break this.
Yeah. Stephanie says, please, I don't agree with the comment about not sexualizing the black skin. After all, isn't that what everyone wants to be, yellow? Because that's what movies, music videos, and ads present to us. So please, I'm all for half-naked black skin shining and reflecting light with oil. All right, thank you for that
but
one.
they can't just be sexy.
True.
It can't be. It has to be
sexy, multifaceted.
Yeah.
Pappy K says, finally, been waiting for when you'll reach this financial institution table. Yellow female marketers are preferred because they are believed to get the job done quicker and easier.
They're doing the job with their skin.
Apparently, a light skin brain works faster than a dark one. Look at that.
Who would have thought?
Ladele Johnson says, hi, Fala, Jola, and Hawa. First of all, black is beauty. I'm a light-skinned guy, but man, I love me the dark and beautiful. I think what's the most important thing is people appreciating themselves for who they are. The side effects of skin lightening should scare people.
I need to say something. Why do we always say black and beautiful? We never say light and beautiful.
Because light is just automatically considered beautiful.
Well, black and beautiful because that's a tag that's always, it's a show.
That's what she means.
I'm saying that tag is a problem.
You have to say black.
Isn't it a TV show that...
Why do we have to say...
The bold and the beautiful.
Why do we always have to say black beauty?
I mean, I'm not saying he's lying, but I always find it's the same way when I see people like sort of poking holes, that people who have to feel the need to constantly declare something like, I love dark babes though. It's like, okay, we don't really
I have
need
black friends. I
know white people. We don't. I've always I love them more. That baby is fine, but when it's down to who you date, that's not it. So
So, exactly.
James says most people that tone their skin believe that will make them beautiful. Yes, we know that. Daba says I'm light skinned, but when the temperature is high, I go darker. When people see me darker, they see things like, oh, you look older. Are you sick? When I go and return, my skin is lighter. You look well. You're glowing. I'm tired for you people.
It's true.
Very true. All right, we got
one more break.
Yes, definitely overshot that one. We'll be right back. Do you know 98.1? We are coming to the end of this drive time discussion here. Thank you all for joining in. Got a couple more messages. We've been talking colorism with the ladies in the studio, Jala, Fala, and myself. Got in this one from Michael. Michael, wow, thanks for this storybook. Michael says, good evening. The claim about shea butter and darkening skin is factual. I'm light-skinned, and I've had firsthand experience with shea butter and olive oil. They both have the same effect when you go under the sun. I recall one time I was supervising a project under the sun. A week into it, my superior walked up to me and smiled, saying his plan worked. I'm like, what? What plan? He said that I'm a little darker now. Now check that out. Even though I had a face cap on the whole time, it didn't change a thing. Now for this light-skin lamentation that you're doing for us on this thing. He said light skin. Sorry, he said light skin folks also cry. It's like, no, he didn't say that. He said light skin folks. He said light skin folks appear fragile and innocent, but 7 out of 8 of the time they're not. In my house, we're light, dark, light, dark, light. I'm in the middle. One day we snuck out and back without a trace. Unknown to us, someone saw us. Here he comes mouthing off to the old man. We were light, dark, light. He counted us except the dark. Oh, maybe we appeal to his senses in a certain way. So only the light skin of you guys that got in trouble and your dark... This is insane. He said the old man couldn't believe I was not involved. Felt sorry for her. She took the fall for us. The light, dark skin thing is in the mind.
It's really not.
It's not in the mind.
It's really not. Don't
like
do
you
that.
can see it. Have you ever been denied an opportunity just because of your skin color?
Yeah.
I mean, I literally saw an audition poster asking for light-skinned presenters, and I was livid.
Or radio hosts. Someone that
but it's like you don't even see us. Well, except for when we're streaming.
Except for streaming, yeah. But I mean, seriously.
Daba said, black is beautiful, is black in general, whether you are chocolate, light, chocolate brown, light mixed race, they all fall under black. Hence, black is beautiful.
Yeah, we know.
It's the same thing. Sorry to be this person. But you see this thing again about when you're trying to describe a dark-skinned person, you have to use sexual things or food terms. Chocolate. You know, I don't know how to explain it. I think sometimes and it shows where our minds are overcompensating.
Say
because
I agree.
You sometimes I feel like people who do these things are still not necessarily completely convinced
of what they're saying.
Of what they are saying. So they have to say to
appeal
they have
to
to
you.
They have to, so that people won't say that I know she's not beautiful. She has that chocolate skin. You know what I'm talking about? Like, no.
Not every dark person has chocolate skin. we don't all have chocolate skin. We are dark. We don't want to be compared to chocolate or any of your favorite candy. I'm just saying.
Someone sent this and said colorism is an ideology which says white is right and everything else is wrong. Brown, yellow, black, etc. And black is at the end of the color spectrum. To correct this ideology, we must change the narrative that we are Africa, not black. No other group sings they are yellow and proud. Stop calling yourselves black and agreeing with ideology that black is bad. Oh, okay, so we should say brown instead?
You know, that's that whole type of ideology that sounds good but doesn't really make any sense. So I'm really sorry, but that just doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Like I see where you are trying to go, but you kind of jabbered there.
All right. So
you can say black. I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that. Oh, I'm black skinned, or I'm a black person.
And the reason why this is so myopic is that Africa is not the only place in the world that there are black people. There are black Latin Americans. They are black.
They have the same issues.
So it's the same issues. It's not about let's reclaim the continent. It's not that.
Let's reclaim the world.
It's not that.
All right. So we have come to the end of the show today. Wow. Very good one. Thank you all for your messages. And I wish I knew how to operate Twitter better because it seems like
you want to go to notifications. Yeah, that's where you want to go.
Okay, we got some
interesting comments here. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, no. These comments are referring to the last conversation with Miss Nimi on personal finance.
Okay, now.
Yeah,
we're wrapping this up. Thank you all for listening, Jala. Really great to meet you. Really great conversation.
I know.
For having
me. She's like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can catch a recap if you missed the conversation from the beginning. It will be on YouTube later in a few hours, so you can watch the entire episode again. In the meantime, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Smooth981FM on Twitter, Smooth981 on Instagram and Facebook. And we'll be here again tomorrow.
Yes, so brown skin girl. That's what I can't stand. Oh man, I can't. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It's important.
This whole representation.
It was after that song that some people realized that they are fine.
Is it after that they realized Beyonce isn't even?
You guys, I'm sorry, I won't stand for Beyonce slander. Let's go.
Okay.
Just end the show. Let's all be going.
All right. Take care, Lagos. Love ya. Mean it. Bye.